Yes, but we now move on to, again, the second half, and this is actually, for me, this is the best part of the stage, where things start to get down to the nitty-gritty. You've got in my eyes, this is the top 4 teams playing each other, Dev.
Yeah, absolutely, and the standings would also agree with you. Whether you agree with how they currently sit is perhaps up for grabs.
Yep.
Antic, for example, I think most people came into this stage expecting them to be second place, but they are not. They're actually in third at the moment, and LFO in fourth. Odium obviously in second and Bliss in first. I don't think anyone disputes that Bliss should be at the top, but where Antic, Man LFO, and Odium sits really remains to be seen. Potentially we could even see some of the teams that played in the first half of the day that are in the bottom half of the standings compete for those top 4 spots. But of course, at the end of the day, what really matters is who's in the top 2, because they get the bye in playoffs, and then who's in 3 down to 6. And realistically, all 4 teams in these 2 games coming up should be in those top 6.
Well, let's start to turn our attention to the team that we thought coming into this was going to be second seed, Antic. Look, they've had a troublesome start, Mandy. There's no doubt about it. But this roster just has all the makings of a great team.
Yeah, I think so. This team, in my view, even though they've had a bit of a rocky start and they've had a bit of a strange loss, let's say, to 6T, who, you know what, they looked pretty good in the last game. Still pretty strange loss for Antic. They look pretty good, in my opinion. I think if they can get their stuff together, they can get their workflow going, I think they should definitely be a top 2 team. I would say even against Man Esports. I know we're about to go and talk about them, but for me, these guys should very much be in that P2 position behind Bliss.
Yeah, I don't know. With Antic, I saw the roster revamp. Obviously, last year they were known as Wildcard and then Triple R and then Conductors of Mowage, now Antic. Even Osiris at one point.
I was going to say, you forgot one in there.
Yeah, I don't think I really did, to be honest. Obviously, Tuhan, Logic, big players from that old roster. Juicy as well was on them for a stint. Frixel and Killerman being the new players from that old Mammoth roster, which is essentially now this Man LFO roster, right?
Yep.
So it's kind of them versus their former team, or what's left of their former team after they got poached. And when I saw this lineup, my first thought, as everyone's would be, is like, wow, that's a lot of firepower. Obviously, Frixel and Killerman, 2 up-and-coming rookies that really proved themselves last year to be absolute fraggers. Tuhan and Logic, well-established demons of the region. But I was not convinced that having 4 insane fraggers and Juicy was the secret ingredient. And funny with how it's gone so far, Juicy's actually got one of the best KDs on the team, which is not so much a testament to like how the rest performed quite poorly, which maybe you can make an argument for, but Juicy has actually been really gnarly. Like, we've talked about this a lot this stage. He's really come into form.
Which is scary, just considering what he's done in his history and the experience that he brings to this roster. But you said it before, this basically took 2 players from an old ex-Mammoth, which are now known as Man LFO. So it's a bit of a grudge match in certain respects. The roster coming into this really only have, 2 of their remaining players, Chef, Jeff, and Hunter. Very similar to your Logic and Tuhan. But honestly, Mandy, I've been quite impressed with this roster.
Yeah, I think I've been impressed with their progress. I think especially throughout the last year, progress is good. I think being process focused, to me, is the hallmark of what a good team should be. I think for Man Esports, LFO, to be honest, in stage 1, they've looked a little bit rocky. Yes, their progress has been steady, but I think even though they've been getting wins, their wins haven't been as convincing as I think their opponents have been in this league. For example, Antic, every time they've won a match, it's looked like, they've won that match pretty convincingly. Whereas for Man LFO, they went 7-5 to your Panic Esports. Now, Panic Esports, they're doing a bit better than we thought that they were going to be doing, but nevertheless, I still do feel like Man Esports is not quite as dominant of a team as their opponents are today.
Dev, do you feel like the loss against Odium last playday kind of left, tainted their name a little bit, tainted their run?
No doubt about it, because now you look at it and the only teams Man Esports has beat is Panic and Kelton's Knights. And Kelton's Knights probably even less of an achievement than beating Panic. 100% I thought that Odium versus Man Esports, that the winner of that game would be 2nd or 3rd place, depending on how Antic ends up going. And losing that game, especially in the fashion that it happened, obviously there was a lot of smack talk going on in and out of the server in that game. It was a bit of a grudge match, both Odium and Man Esports in very similar positions within the league and within their current arcs. And these guys just lost rounds again and again, back to back, and essentially got reverse swept by
Yeah.
Odium. Huge red flag in my eyes for Man Esports, and they really need to bounce back from that, but it's not going to get easier. Yes, they've played their game against Bliss, and now they're playing against Antic. This should be their hardest game left in the league, but who knows? They could fumble against 6T as well.
Yeah.
They really need to maximize their points out of this game for a shot at getting into those top 2, which is absolutely a priority for a team like Man Esports.
And even then, you've got to make your statements, right? But speaking about statements, well, usually we talk about the 2 top fraggers, Mandy. We're going to talk about the 2 support players who, mind you, are still top fragging.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Juicy has just been absolutely nuts this stage. I don't know about you, Rob, but of a team of 4 fraggers and Juicy being the highest rated player is like, oh my god, what has just happened, right? Is it upside down day? Yes, we are upside down. We're in Australia anyway. But regardless, I think the difference in leadership between these two is, I think, the thing that I really want to point out, right? Juicy, he's been around the block. He's been an IGL leader for a really long time. Hunter is this up-and-coming leader. He's a person that has to put together a team, build them up, make this leadership happen from the ground up. Whereas I think Juicy has just been handed a bunch of players and is kind of like trying to move the chess pieces around, right?
Yep.
I think for Hunter, I've got a lot of respect for what he's been able to achieve in the region so far. I think building something from the ground up, not only that, but I think being as consistent as he's been so far on the IGLing and on the support is a really good sign. Whereas I think for Juicy, he's kind of been stalled out, I would say, I think, in his performance, especially like from what I felt like was reaching his peak in towards those night stays. Since this new era of Blast 6-0s, I feel like it's been pretty stagnant. Whereas I can't say the same for Hunter. I feel like Hunter's very much been, he started out low on the bottom, but has certainly been on the rise, and it feels like his impact in the region is not going to stop anytime soon.
Well, you have the furthest to fall when you're on the top of the mountain, don't you? That's for damn sure. We're going to go ahead and have a look at these vetoes. Dev, should I just let you do your magic?
Yeah, well, first thing is just to note that Man Esports have banned Chalet. It's what they've played in 3 of their 4 games so far. And I'm very glad to see that they've banned it out. They've just lost it back against Bliss and Odium. And, Antic also lost it to Bliss. I just don't think it's where Man Esports should be going. Are we going it?
Not
okay,
Clubhouse.
We're going back to Club.
Wow.
So I will say this is actually quite an exciting map to go for because both teams are undefeated on Clubhouse. For Antic, it's 3 games in a row. And having a look, wasn't necessarily huge games. They did defeat, so it's actually all in the qualifiers, the Pub Lovers roster, the X-Bandits roster, and the Trident roster. So none of those have actually qualified for this league. And on the Man Esports side, they took down Kelton's Knights, which, to be frank, means very little as well. A win over OBL, which I also think means very little. A win over Trident, so same team that Antic won, also at the same scoreline of 7-2, fun fact. But the only one that I would actually put much stake in is Man Esports beat Estio. Now, Estio almost qualified for this league. They were like the 9th place team in the region. So I think beating Estio 7-4 on club is a decent indicator that this is a solid map for Man Esports. Yep. My question is, how much realistic preparation have these teams been able to do in like counter-stratting? Because I don't know which of those games, if many of them, were actually available on VODs. And so credit to the support staff of these teams if they have been able to go and research in VOD and figure out how each other plays this game, because there's a lot of material out there.
Well, there's only one way to find out, and that's for us to stop stuffing around. We're going to go across to, I would say, 2 incredible commentators, something along those lines.
It's always interesting that it's James that brings up the yap meter. I have noticed this, guys. It's always just one particular individual. You don't get it with Mandy. You don't get it with us.
Well,
okay, sometimes you get it with us. You don't get it with Mandy, though. That's for sure. She is the embodiment of professionalism. Big game coming up. The winner of this is locked in for top 6. Double thumbs up.
What do you want me to say? Woo! Top 6, baby!
Playoffs, baby! That's what I want. Yeah, playoffs. Hell yeah. Clubhouse, we go. I wanted a bit more excitement for you there.
No, I don't know why I reacted the way I did. I'm actually genuinely quite excited for this matchup. I think this has potential to be actually very close, very competitive. Everyone wishes this probably goes to OT if both teams are firing at full cylinders. Interestingly enough, 75% of the community in favor of Antic heading into this matchup. I think that's a little bit overly generous, although I did pick them, and I am favoring them in this matchup. 2 edge ahead, but only just.
I also did go a little bit ahead too. That you're not locked in yet, but it puts you a long way, and it also means that you can't finish last. That is a certainty. If you do win this, you can't finish last, but you're not locked in. Antic and Man Esports LFO for this game of Clubhouse, 3rd game of the day. Right now, as things stand, 5th and 6th respectively, on the current leaderboard. But a win and 9 points if you get all 3 puts you then tied 2nd with Odium of course, Odium to play Bliss after this, which ends up being a really, really big game. So, huge points on the line. And I think for two teams that are the embodiment of the league that we've had so far, which is it's really difficult to predict. Antic is the easy choice, but Men Esports have already shown us throughout this stage so far, they're more than capable. Even if you go to that 7-2 loss versus Bliss, they were actually really competitive. They put in a really, really good showing. Yes, the scoreboard didn't look that great. Made you look from Chef Jeff with his weekly whiteboard update. But yeah, Men Esports, I think, are more than capable in this game, but they certainly do go into it as the slight underdogs against the big dogs in Antic. See what it did there?
The entire population is under sleep.
Monty Ying. Okay, that's pretty straightforward in terms of attacking bans. Monty is getting consistently banned out, and Ying very execute heavy. And on a map like Clubhouse can be used to unlock key positions. Solus off the board alongside Fenrir, so arguably the top two most impactful defenders in the current meta have also been excluded from the match. So not really deviating too far away from the expected course here, the expected trajectory in this match. And on the topic of the expected path, fully anticipating Man Esports here to garner a lead in the first half. They're starting off on defense. But as prefaced before, and I'm sure by the desk as well, I am at least expecting a very close and competitive match between these two, which probably means it will be a 7-0, but
Yeah.
I hope it's close.
Yeah, before we get into this one as well, just a slight off topic, but a little bit on topic as well in terms of who these two teams play for their remaining play days after this. We are at that kind of point in the stage now where, you know, you want to avoid bottom two. Interestingly enough, they actually both play Circular Spheres over the last two play days. So for CS now, they're looking back at this game, and this is going to be the next two opponents. They'll play Man Esports tomorrow, and then on the final play date next week, they'll play Antic. The reason why that's somewhat relevant is, well, all three teams right now are on 6 points. So this becomes a big game. Circular Spheres essentially also need to beat these. I think it's fair to say, what's the likelihood that out of these three, Antic, Man, and Circular Spheres, one of them ends up in the bottom two? It's somewhat likely. 6 targets will be in the conversation. They play Bliss tomorrow, and then they play Man next week. So I think we're definitely going to get down to some kind of picture where on the final play day next week, we'll figure out who's going to get relegated out of the league, not go to the playoffs. To win this game, though, means that you are in a much better position moving forward. That by next week, you are the lesser likely of the teams to be in that bottom two position. That puts emphasis on this match. Man Esports on the defense to begin, Antic opening up, and through Jacuzzi, apparently, for a rotate hole. Chef Jeff actually over towards logistics. A little bit of an extension up above right now for Man Esports on the roam. Killer Man.
There's a play right there.
There's a play right behind the gym. And Scars will get a free kill. Positioning just so critical in this game at times, and you can see exactly why. Thatcher gone as well, off the board. And so therefore, those Kaid claws will not be dealt with. No secondary EMPs available either. Kara does get traded elsewhere shortly afterwards, losing his life through Lounge. Frixel getting the opening kill there for Antic.
Well, Diffuser then on an island over towards that Jacuzzi breach. Scars aware of that, and in doing so will hold his position at the midway point of the round. Antic, sooner rather than later, are going to be forced to go for this condition, whether or not it's, you know, killing Scars or finding the Diffuser, perhaps both. And we'll now see that rotation come through. Too hard to drone. Should be able to spot the Valkyrie behind the weights. And then it's up to the rest of the team to converge on this position.
It's crazy that he hasn't been pinched yet. I mean, just a balcony play and a Jacuzzi wall play could do the job. Nice shot from Scars. Couldn't get cleared by Frixel. Tried to make his way over towards said balcony. Gives up on that Diffuser, but honestly, you don't need to play off it anymore. In the 2 versus 4 now, Man Esports have done the job to begin defensively. Logic making his way through Lounge. Okay, Juicy does get the kill onto Scars. With that, you can get the kit. I don't think that was the intended position for that Boogie Auto Breacher. Now, Chef Jeff, we saw him at the beginning of the round in towards logistics. I'm assuming he never got droned out. He's playing the mute. And held that position the whole way through, catching Juicy, who went to go and gain that Diffuser. 1 versus 3. Couple of clutches so far tonight through the Oceania League. What can Logic do? Not a lot of time. Doesn't have the kit. 1 up above. So even if he clears basement here, the solo and final player will be top floor. And he's not going to check hard right in towards Moto. Easy kill for player. And a very strong start from Man Esports.
Yeah, they were gifted a little bit there on the roam by, I can only assume, Misdrone and or Miscom. Killerman isolated. Scars' position was completely unknown. He was good for 2 in the round as the eventual trade attempt came through in an attempt to recover that diffuser for Antic, but things really only going from bad to worse for the attack. And as for the defense, if you're not forced to peel back and rotate back towards site, it really just reinforces that position. With diffuser on the ground, it's a very, very difficult position for the attack to recover from.
Yeah, and also to highlight Scars there individually, but the discipline, both in movement, not panicking in gym when someone had entered the location, just held his position, knew that he hadn't been spotted or droned out, so backed himself in. But then also the trigger discipline as he kind of rotated in towards bedroom. When you're getting shot through a barricade like that, it's very easy to get startled and kind of panic shoot back. And he may have done that and also got the kill, but just waited until he really had the key piece of information to hit that head. So a great start from Scars. He was the big reason why they were able to win that round. Good follow-ups, of course, elsewhere. Yeah, and a decent extension as well for Man Esports. It's always tricky when you come to a map like Clubhouse. You play basement. It's easy to maybe get sucked into playing very defensive focus. We see some teams make some kind of presence, like through main, and then eventually go back down and just hold 5 on site. And Man Esports really committed to that and did a good job. So up to Antic now to respond in the second round. We go up above for the bomb site this time.
Yeah, so very traditional lineup here from the attack. The Thatcher with the double primary hard breach combo of the Ace, some of which are being deployed on the CCTV wall, and Juicy on the exothermics. Those can be used on the exterior con and or the jacuzzi wall. Jacuzzi though to kick things off. Thatcher is back up. Early flashbangs and maybe an early hit here from the attack, but Hunter good for 2. Caught in the crossfire. Juicy now to send it forward. Goes deep into his bathroom, so they still have good control, but they don't have the manpower. Only 2 attackers remain. It's Juicy alongside Tuhan. Juicy loses that swing. And now Tuhan, who's still over towards CCTV, his job in the round to sit outside there, post up, apply pressure. Now left in the clutch.
Yeah, and it's a very easy one to break down there. I mean, Antic are at least all on the same page. And if you are going to make a mistake, you need everyone to make a mistake together. To be fair, I don't think there's a mistake. It's just a really good hold that we saw again from Man Esports. But also, you could kind of question, why do you need to go that fast? 2 minutes and 20 seconds on the clock. You open up Jacuzzi. You got pressure over towards CCTV as well. Do you need to go with that pace? Not necessarily. But they opt into it. And we could be completely talking about a whole nother scenario had it worked. It doesn't. And therefore, you kind of look to criticize it. But, I mean, they all at least went with the same plan of attack. It just hasn't quite worked out for Antic in this round. Credit to Man Esports, though. Switched on, ready to go to defend that. Not anticipating that it was just going to simply be open up Jacuzzi and then people rotate off. They go back on the roof, get balcony position, get pressure through con. They were very much ready for that push. And this is also a match, by the way. I don't know if it was hyped up on the desk, but the old Cairo and Logic rivalry that we see in the Oceanic region, these two, they had the most perfect game last stage in that 1v1 clutch final round. As Tuhan gets a kill onto player, it's just a matter of don't feed the Tui, and you'll be fine. I mean, Cairo is actually quite low. This is a round that is certainly alive. If he finds the next kill, then suddenly every possibility. Default gets shot, but nicely tucked in is Scars. Scars has had a great start to this game. But yeah, Cairo, Logic, are we going to see much yapping in the chat?
Maybe. Maybe. I mean, you mentioned it, right? The 1 versus 1. It was a clutch, ace clutch from Logic to get that game across the line. Way back in, I say way back, last year.
Way back.
Feels like way back.
Way back in 6 months ago.
Yeah, good last round there though from old mate Hunter in towards Jim. It's a crucial, at least 1 that he needs to pluck, but the fact that he was able to get 2, and we saw the slight mistime there from Antic. Yes, they fully committed, but the player crossing that meant that Juicy couldn't fire, and I think that was probably what gave him that window of opportunity to get 2 kills. Fortunately then made Antic look a little bit second rate in what has so far not been the greatest of attacking halves so far from them, but it's only very early days.
Yeah, and the flip side of it too, and the reason why I'm not critical of Antic is imagine a world in which that works is, say, Juicy kills the player Jim, the fast push and vaults over in towards bathroom, clears that player. Suddenly it's a 5-on-3. You've got a lot of site control. You can play off of main. You know, it's very easy to kind of win that round based on what Antic tried to do. Didn't work, fair enough. It is Jim bedroom, one of the considered primary sites, I guess, on Clubhouse. Cash and CCTV, very much the tertiary these days. Defensively, again, for Man Esports, we'll see what they can bring. So far, a good start. Looking sharp and switched on, not allowing Antic to do a whole lot. But it's also the lineup composition too. Like, you bring in the Grim. 2 rounds in a row and I haven't really seen it get used. If you're playing the Grim, you probably want to play a little slower, clear out positions, play off that information that you're going to get. Capitao clearly looking to play towards Rafters.
You stole my point. I'm the color commentator, so make sure you just
Look, guess what?
Just team up for me.
You got like another 60 seconds. You can kind of just double down.
Well, we're going to see the Mav in play in an attempt to trick the wall mirror window, perhaps to complicate things. As you mentioned, the Grim and the Capitao combo that will be used over towards Rafters to flush out that position, but Cairo with his Wamai magnets will directly counter that. Reload! So we'll see if they're able to combine those particular tools. A lot of flashbangs for Antic to help clear those positions. Mirror window now opened up. Lines of sight on the wall, but it won't be opened, at least not yet. Looks like bottom garage was actually soft there, I think, from the defense, unless my eyes are deceiving me. And a line of sight actually from Chef Jeff down through lounge into that position. So maybe the play here from Man Esports is to somewhat bait them into this Rafters clear, and they might be able to pluck something for free.
They're cooking.
This is playing out in an unusual fashion where the main breach isn't opened up. They're slowly chipping away at garage, but that's not as free as maybe Antic think it will be. Well, we'll see who comes out on top.
Yeah, this has so far been a very curious round, and I think it's caught Antic off guard. They're not looking at this as being a simplified clubhouse defense.
Okay.
Frixel to get underway with the Quan Hive launcher using those canisters to get the bees buzzing, clear out these positions. Cairo will be sitting right in amongst the bees, sensing the pressure to eventually then come from the Capitao as well with the incendiary bolt to his left-hand side. Keeper Barrier gets shot out. 200 does get an opening kill onto player. Pivotal here that Cairo can get at least one. None he gets. Juicy with the kill. They get garage control under a minute remaining with a 5 versus 3. So far it's been a really strong clear. Chef Jeff momentarily does peek over towards main breach, which still hasn't been necessarily opened up, but at this point doesn't need to be. I think Chef Jeff wants to get rid of the Claymore, and does. Opens up a bit more position here, top red. Nitrocell, the timing, it's everything in this game, isn't it? And more. He does that 3-4 seconds early, and he probably finds the kill. Instead, he loses his life. Triple red ping up above. Hunter with the impacts. He could get one, and he does. And that was Kit. Juicy was going for the plant. Gets the knife. 25 seconds. Need to clear down below. And there's not a lot of time remaining in this round. This could get a little bit dicey, but a lovely shot. Was that Frixel with the bailiff? Indeed. Yeah, and that nice response from Antic on the tertiary site of Cash and CCTV. Really well worked.
Yeah, I mean, that's the one thing that Antic weren't able to tick off, at least in the first round, was just basic fundamentals. It was the map clear that time around. In that particular round over towards CCTV, the main checkpoint, especially if you bring in the Capitao and the Grim combo, is to cleanly deal with Garage Rafters control, which they did. I was a little bit perplexed. I thought that Chef was going to lean quite heavily into that vertical line of sight that he established to try and contest that. As far as I could tell, he didn't. I don't know if that's because he was at threat of the main CCTV breach, and that's why he wasn't contesting it, or he had another job elsewhere. Couldn't tell at the time, but nonetheless, Garage Control succeeded quite quickly there. Antic, having no real qualms, and looked a lot cleaner in that particular round to what we saw previously. So good work from them, and a good little confidence builder. I don't think they would have been too pleased with the first 2 rounds, the way in which they played out, but that one there where they, again, just went through the checklist cleanly, definitely bodes well for them in the match.
Yeah, it's tertiary site though, so this is where Man Esports aren't going to be too concerned. They get to go straight back to Church and Arsenal. Basement here on Clubhouse, very strong defensively. Now, last time out, they played this pretty aggressive, so I'm imagining the switch-up will come through. They can still play somewhat aggressive up above, but to the same degree as last time out, deep in towards Jim, holding out logistics with mute jammers. I'm not sure if they're going to go that extensive. Thatcher brought again, who did lose his life early, which would have made the round really difficult in terms of opening up the hatches. Grenade claws being brought courtesy of Cairo. Right now, though, Antic... I think they're also playing outside the map a little bit better too. The last round now into this round, bit more drone work. Okay, clear out Gym, no one's there. Let's go and clear out Logistic. Last time out, it was a bit of a kind of open up Jacuzzi fast and then creep into Gym and then, oh, there's someone there. 5 on site though for Man Esports, so they have reeled it in. Deep back of site Hunter, that's a key position that does need to get cleared. That shield, keeping him certainly safe from blue. Back of Arsenal on the Warden, any kind of drop, flash and smoke play, and he's going to be a big win condition for Man.
Yeah, doubling down on your point about Cash CC being the tertiary site here on Clubhouse. The map's been played 4 times this stage in OCE. 63% defensive win rate down below, 64% Gym. Cash and CCTV lagging behind at 58%.
It's not that bad. I mean, it's on some maps that's almost primary levels. At least back in the day, maybe not right now in the current era of Siege. Player deep in blue.
It's equal with the most defender-sided site on Chalet, Master Office, which is the most played map.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Minute 20 on this round, by the way. Of course, it's a full 5-stack down below, so not a lot happening up above. Antic not looking to be too worried about any kind of pressure. They've got secret control, main stairs control, kitchen. Moto's opened up. Getting to work now and putting the pressure onto Man Esports. Drone work has been good, still 5 remaining. Yeah, kitchen hatch hasn't been open, but I'm not sure they're too worried about that. Still 1 EMP grenade, which is now being used by Killerman. Frixel feels like he's important here. Killerman, oh, hang on,
wait,
what's
what?
happened here? Well, they do get 1, courtesy of 2 harm, but Killer will fall. I think they're just going to hit site, try and go a little earlier, rather than a last 20-second push. But that's so annoying to try and push through the bees, and Frixel just starts sprinting. But that means his gun is not up. Lovely swing again from Hunter. Indeed, he was the win condition for them, but for some very different reasons. Logic now, the solo, in the 1 versus 3, Flash and Moto drop. Not a lot of time remaining, doesn't even have the kit, although it is close towards that triple wall. Can very much grab it, and it could become a factor. But right now for Man Esports, they do not need to peek this. Don't give him an inch. Behind the Kiba barrier, can shoot that out. Certainly enough ammunition in this gun to just spray it down, but Hunter's just a little better. Certainly a big round on the Warden from him. So far been great in this match defensively for Man Esports.
Yeah, really good work from the defense in being able to control that blue generator part of the map where we saw Antic double stack. They were, though, forced to push into a mirror window that wasn't taken down, whether that be off the back of an Ash charge or an alternate form of utility. So being able to play in that dummy's position was very much fortified for the defense. Unlocking that would have been a great way to then establish the cross and help get the plant down over towards triple wall, which was opened up by the attack. But it fell apart elsewhere for Antic.
So this is the issue for Antic, right? Beat Carlton's Knights, lost to Bliss, lost to 6 targets, beat Panic, losing to Man. There's no consistency with this roster, and that's like the biggest issue. On paper, and coming into this stage, it was very easy to say, okay, second best team. Let's see if they can prove it. So far, they haven't proven it. Man Esports have looked great defensively here. Look, it's Clubhouse defense. Certainly not getting ahead of ourselves by any means, but I think the way in which Man Esports are also winning these rounds. I mean, take Hunter as an example too. In that last round, very easy. Sit behind the shield, play deep Arsenal. Instead, he doubles down, helps out that player on the mirror window, and gets a double kill in towards blue. What are you giggling about?
I got a DM from James telling us this is Logic versus Cairo that on this map last year. We talked about it, bruv. Like, you're not listening.
When did he send that? It would have been at least 20 minutes ago.
No, it was about 20 seconds ago.
Oh, right.
So we listen to them when we're on the desk.
I must say, knowing James, he's probably sat down, pulled up his match tracker, and he's just gone, oh, look at this.
Well, we love James. He's a unique individual. But we all are at the end of the day.
We are. All right, into the 5th round we go. 2 more in this half.
And it's the Thatcher double hard breach primaries. It's very similar from what we saw Antic play last round, although the pacing has dramatically slowed down. The round was all but over last time as they looked to rush through Jacuzzi. This time, though, doing their due diligence. Grim to counteract the Rafters hold, and player is swarmed by the bees. So his position is known. Is there follow-up utility, though, here from the attack? There is in the form of 2 frag grenades, perfectly placed. Wow, what a clear. Chef Jeff, though, able to at least trade 1 elsewhere. Oh, that was, in fact, Frixel. In through Secret, able to get away. So, at the end of the day, a relatively 1-for-1 there for both teams. Selm was now deployed in towards Cash. But Man Esports happy to peel. Scar's almost caught through Con, but both players now back on site.
Minute 20 remaining in the round. Nope. Felt like someone was calling me for a second.
There's no Dockerby in the server, mate.
It's either that or dial-up.
Oh.
Feels like a somewhat important round for Antic. Don't want to be down 1-4. It's gym bedroom, but You find a way to just will yourself into a round that you can take away from Man Esports, who have looked really in control of this match so far. Pyro lurking down below near main stairs, can make a push back up late. If there's no pressure down below, he'll be, I think, quite successful from that top main position when he does eventually flank. Logistics has been droned. Killerman in through Con. Maybe just anticipating that swing might eventuate. Are we going to see a double drop here? Juicy and Logic. Juicy's low, he'll go first. He then will hope to get traded by Logic.
It's into the warden though, so Chef Jeff just turns on the glasses.
Glasses off. Spots a foot, glasses on. The timing. Oh, he misses the first couple of shots, but he does get the kill. That was on to Logic too. And then eventually Juicy did lose his life courtesy of Scars, who then lost his to Killerman. 1 versus 2 with Tuhan the solo, but there is Cairo from that top main position. There was no pressure down below. He got to hold his position without worry. 4-1 lead for Man Esports here on Clubhouse. And looking by far and away the better team.
Yeah, Jacuzzi's just not opened up, so that opens a big portion of that L corridor from top main leading into gym for the defense to fall back to, lean into, which they did. It just feels like in so many of these Antic losses, there's always just been that one standout part of the round or potential oversight. That feels like it is being very costly. And Man Esports, to be fair, are leaning into those conditions when they're presenting themselves, so no fault of their own. They've been phenomenal here defensively. Still one more opportunity though for Antic Esports to reach the benchmark. A 2-4 scoreline would be fine. But as you have mentioned, there's some inconsistency about this roster at the moment, from week to week, from day to day, from round to round.
Who do they play tomorrow? It's CS, right? I think it's Circular Spheres. Or is that the final play day?
Tomorrow, they play Odium.
Yeah, okay. And then they
It's
play
gonna be a
Circular
relatively
Spheres.
tough opponent, so.
Yeah, it's difficult because they can beat both teams and they can probably lose to both teams. I think that's just the nature of the league, though, to be fair. That's not really just an Antic issue. I can certainly still win this game. Into the 6th round. We've seen plenty of instances as well where Clubhouse is a 1-5 split both ways and both teams end up being incredibly defender-sided on it. Just have that gut feeling, though, that it's more so Man Esports are just playing a bit better. It's always the difficult nature of Siege these days. You can't trust whether or not a team's playing well because of the defensive-sided nature of a lot of these maps and a lot of these games. 5-1. Yeah, even then, not a guarantee.
I mean, for reference, Man LFO against Carlton's Knights had a 2-4 split. Then went on to win 5 defensive rounds. Good read from Logic.
That's better from Logic. That's good. Now can they capitalize on this? Cash and CCTV once again is the tertiary player advantage. They worked this site really well last time, did Antic Esports. And it looks as if they're doing it again. The mirror dealt with both the window and the player. Cairo does get a kill onto Killerman. Drops down into Garage. No real rafters hold. Cairo playing deep lounge. Can make his way back up top red and does. So rafters and Garage is very much free.
Wait, where's
Open.
Player? Is Player on the other side of the map, or am I... Yeah, he's down below, okay. So no rafters hold from the Azami is quite unusual, but I think at this point, Man Esports probably need to throw something at Antic to try and find something back. And this could actually be the right play if Frixel gets caught off.
Hasn't been droned.
Yep.
Frixel's going to have no idea. Oh, there's every chance player peeks this, finds the headshot, gets the kill.
Oh,
the timing again!
dude.
My God, it's filthy. You would be kicking yourself if you were a player. He's just sitting, and as soon as you go, he goes as well.
And now you know there's 2
He's got to
sides.
rotate off this now. I mean, there's no point, unless you want to eventually play from lounge. You could rotate back over to main, but you're on the other side of the map. Cairo, this is so aggressive. Back through the Bs, the only real way out. Almost shot through the drone hole. Minute 12 left, still a player advantage for Antic. And again, throughout this whole time, they've had full Garage control.
Hunter falls as well. Cairo low on HP, needs to put up a final
that's an
stand
angle.
on site. Players still off site. He'll rotate probably
Oh,
bot red.
he would have got a free kill. Still almost got the kill. And then the cross, Cairo just had to hold.
No way.
Impact thrown, player down below, player dead. Cairo in a 1 versus 4, then 3, then none, and Antic win the round. Oh, the timing has just gone against Man Esports LFO so many times in that round alone. Credit to Antic, getting a couple of really good opening kills. Logic with the game sense on the run-out attempt, and then they're able to once again win tertiary. 2-4 split. And hey, it's a good half. I mean, even as said in the chat there by Logic, at the end of the day, this is... You are my sunshine. I don't see karma in here.
I mean, that's the beauty of the format, right? As an attacking team, if you can just be super proficient on one objective, it's good enough for the 2-4 benchmark. And then if you're far better defensively, you can walk away with the game anyway. So I still stand by our comments that Antic, in the 4 rounds they lost, were making some pretty big mistakes for a team of their caliber. But as I just mentioned, if you're proficient on that tertiary site, you can exploit it, which they did very, very well.
Not clean.
You can kind of mask that and get away with it.
Very clean. Didn't really make any mistakes.
Camera activated.
I mean, a couple of confusing things there in terms of the way I think, like, again, what players doing down below and then pushing up secret. In, like, the context of it, it's fine. Because if he peeks up and gets that kill, it looks amazing.
Yeah.
Ultimately, he misses that. Then he's hive launched off of that position, and either they know he's either going to have to rotate main, other side of the map's going to take him years, or he's going to push through secret. Interesting ground. And now we go into the second half. Straight to Church and Arsenal. No surprise here from Antic on the defense. But what is interesting is how extensive this hold may be over towards CCTV. Saw one rafters. Frixel's thinking about putting a shock wire battery over towards CCTV. And Killerman with the previs. No, doesn't go for it. Oh. Okay. Nah, that would... Baited. Easily baited. You can see how quick he turned around as well. As soon as that barricade got opened up, he's like, I'm going for it. Doesn't work.
So Logic offsite then. Oh,
Hello?
Killman shuts one down.
What?
Their entry in towards side.
Did he just peek bot main with 2 minutes on the clock? That is very aggressive from Sheffy Jeffy.
May have been on a Valve cam too, so not ideal.
I mean, Logic is in Logi, and you're pressuring bot main. Sorry, what am I on about? Well, I mean, they haven't cleared up above, but yes, still strange from Jeff to die there.
Like, they're not fully committing to their own clear.
It's like a very split attack right now from Man Esports, and you're right. I mean, this is the thing. They haven't cleared Logic up above. They do know he's there. He just denied a couple of X-Kairos on that kitchen hatch, and until he does get cleared, it's really difficult to open that up.
It should be okay though. Just don't feed him. Have the info. They don't have the info. They don't have the air jabs up either. And so Cairo falls.
Well, you know he's down.
Good work from Logic.
He's like, where's the trade coming, though? Oh, and they're just on... I mean, they're just trying to push site. Player coming from Oil Pit, Tuhan. I mean, seriously. What is going on in this round? It's not playing out in the conventional manner. Hunter is actually deep into site with Kit. But it's a 1 versus 3. And therefore, his chance of survival is evidently quite low. Does get a tag. Position known on site. Gets calmed out for Antic. All three are very much going to look to deny this. Don't have to peek. Don't give him anything. Even that from Tuhan, as soon as he makes contact, he actually falls off it. Really smart to not give Hunter the 1v1. Instead, they play the cross angle.
Yeah, well.
Perfectly well played from Antic. Really good round.
Yeah, good work defensively. The way in which LFO played into the extension was slightly unusual. They got caught, you know, trying to be a little bit more direct towards site. Then they didn't have the systems and the util and the information in place in preparation for those defenders to fall and peel back towards the first floor. And so it sort of compounded from there. And it's all well and good to eventually get Diffuser in towards the objective, but the 1v3 with other players falling elsewhere and good trades on the fallback from the defense meant that it was always going to be an Antic round. So good confidence builder again for Antic. Their roam successful.
Activating camera.
And just, yeah, bit of life in the game now. Unusual round though.
We'll see if we can get back to our usual normalities here on Gym Bedroom into the 8th round. 3-4 scoreline. Very difficult to predict. I think from here, you can make the argument. Antic on the defense for the remainder of this half, certainly in the better position. Having already achieved the 2 attacking rounds that at this point could be good enough. Man, Esports with a bit of pressure now. After a very decent defensive half and starting 4-1, it looks like the team that had far more control of Clubhouse, but as is always the case, Antic are more than capable of defending well enough here on Club and are so far doing a great opening round. Got their attack rounds. They look confident. Frixel over towards Stock and Lounge. Oh yeah, outside of the rappel. I imagine he would have heard that. Got a little bit of info. over towards that con single wall.
So Mav for the CCTV extension. We saw Antic on their attacks lean into the ace, and then the Thermite the following attempt. This time combined and synced. Will it be an immediate push? It is, Chef. Supernova suppressed in hand. Juicy falls. Good push in from the attack. And now Antic, who are all the way on the other side of that, need to retake, but Chef Jeff reads into that.
I mean, they've used their own tactic against them.
Yeah.
The irony, but this time it's actually successful. We saw Antic try this in the first half, and they lost players straight away. No one's holding Jim. Solo player in bathroom. The trade from Con, it's a little late, and Chef Jeff is already in a good position. I mean, he's deep into logistics at this point. He's pushed so deep. They got drones. They got full site control. Oh, the Nitrocell from Frixel. It's perfect, and the response from Logic, oh so timely, and now the round has flipped on its head once again. After the initial entry from Man Esports looked good enough, Hunter though, he goes hunting. One more still there remaining. Cairo in logistics, shoots out the Velt Cam, 1 versus 2. With Logic on the other side, his arch nemesis, it would be tantalizing to see him clutch this one. Flashes Con, sneaks back through logistic. I'm not too sure if this will work. Now they know with that shot. Does have kit, can go for the plant. And he just will stick this, I think. Can't really get off of it. Needs to play into a post plant from behind. The first contact to come. Cairo needs to be swift. Makes the move. Hits the headshot. Logic is down. No fairy tale finish this time for Logic. Cairo blocked off momentarily. Can shoot this out if he feels the need to. Can certainly find a good angle, and Tuhan is off it. Oh, what a shot. And what a play from Cairo. Sometimes he's just a little better. The question mark as well. And the teabag as Man Esports salvaged that round. Because it almost looked like they were going to lose it after the response from Antic brought it to a 3-on-2.
Now let's have a look back then. This was the initial push through. Again, Supernova, Chef Jeff suppressed. Gets that first pick. No one in gym, no one waits to help slow down that push.
Bro, look how deep he is.
Retake through Con was dismissed. Good Nitro below. And I think Antic Esports did enough to sow the seeds of doubt, especially with the Valk on the board, that getting the plant might be a risk. And instead, Man LFO then transitioned to trying to find frags as best they could. Ultimately then goes down to the 1v2. Cairo, phenomenally well played and well positioned.
Yep.
There was nothing Tuhan could do to immediately trade Logic, and then puts him in that really tricky position. Tried to play around the Kiba, but ultimately didn't work.
Well, the irony in that sense with the own Kiba barrier is it goes against him because he can't push through the doorway. That's information for Cairo. He can only come from one position, so he falls back main, looking in towards Logistic because the Kiba barrier on the doorway. Can't come through it. And it goes obviously 2 ways. So at that point, he needs to hunt Cairo down because if he just tries to stick it at the end, Cairo's got the easy swing angle. Yeah, really played that 1v2 quite well. And a very fascinating round considering Man Esports using the same tactic that we saw Antic try to employ in the opening half. And they get that attacking round just at that point in the round where it had been a couple of rounds in a row for Antic. They were starting to look like they were in control a little bit. And even in a round that Antic did bring it back, and had they actually won that round, we would have been looking at a 4-4 scoreline and trouble brewing for Man Esports, but no. Now 1 round away. Again, 3 points so valuable in this league. Man Esports, they get in the next round, and Antic cannot get all 3.
Oh, Cairo straight off the rip gets 1, but Killerman good for 2 over towards that Rafters position. The attack though, they go deep, and Cairo with confidence flowing, able to find 2 in the round. And there's still over 2 minutes to go. Cairo now with an advanced position top red. And they need to retake through Con, but Cairo shutting them down. The Bees to lock Logic out. There's nothing he could do. He'll be forced down below to retreat. It's a 1v3 post.
Yeah, and he was kind of hoping that he could get to Lounge in time before the plant goes down. Maybe then spray it down with the Deagle and get him off it, get a kill, then it's a 1v2. But, oh, Cairo has just gone nuclear. He has already witnessed this map go the wrong way from his perspective, being on the wrong side of history. And he has single-handedly, the last 2 rounds, made sure that it doesn't happen again. 6-3, 3 match points now for Man Esports LFO. And an incredibly fast rush again. But how is Cairo getting this deep into top red and allowed to hold this position? It's insane. The last couple of rounds he's been great. And again, even just the whereabouts of mine to throw those flashes first and then spray instead of dry peeking. Really well played.
I mean, just the positioning and the layering of util there from the attack was great. Tuhan was trying his best to slow things down by getting that gas babe out. Ultimately, that was to his own demise, not anticipating Pyro to go as deep as he did. And then with 2 players to retake through Con and the Grim on the board, it's impossible to retake as a defender. That was really quite impressive from Man Esports, who have played a really exciting brand of Siege in this match, it must be said. Now with 3 match points, they'll deny a total of 3, potentially here for Antic.
Yeah.
Which is quite the storyline.
And again, I mentioned at the start of this game as well what this kind of does. Now, it doesn't solidify playoffs, but it puts you in such good position. If you are Man Esports, you get all 3 points, you go to 9 points. Becomes far more unlikely that you will be one of the bottom 2 teams. Not impossible, but far more likely that you won't be there. But what it does mean for Antic is they're actually at the threat of missing out on playoffs. I mean, I can't believe I'm saying that. There is actually every world in which Antic finished bottom 2. And if that does happen, queue up that Logic retirement tweet once again. It's on brand.
That's a bit dog.
It's happened too many times.
Yeah, jeez.
He'll be back for stage 2, though.
Oh, yeah, it'll retire for a couple months.
Exactly. Stock getting opened up, Chef Jeff. They've been so aggressive on their attack so far, Man Esports, and I think hence why we're seeing the Clash being employed now by Juicy.
Just looking to slow them down, play Disrupt. Kitchen Hatch being chipped away at here by Hunter on the Hibana. Impact tricks, though, from Antic down below to stall that out for a little while longer. That one doesn't land, though. That's not ideal, but ultimately the hatch will get opened up either way. Chef Jeff transitions control over towards that stock hatch now to contest Vert, and it's Juicy to greet them main stairs. He can relay some of that information to the rest of the team, all of which who are on the basement site. Clean shot from Tuhan, good for 1, flashed out, but no drop to follow.
A big kill as well on Scarlet. Top fragging at the moment, tied with Hunter. Hunter doing a significant job on the defense, Cairo maybe more so on the attack. Clash spotted, main stairs. Obstacle in the way. But with the fact that they've been playing so well and so aggressive, who knows how they're going to be able to overcome this. Jeff goes for a little vault over. That doesn't quite work. Still got time, actually. Over a minute remaining, so it's not as if they're getting stalled out for time just yet. They will drop into Oil Pit and go for the long push through. Watched deep by Logic in Arsenal.
Attackers recovered the bomb diffuser.
Well, I mean, I think the round is over at that point, unless Scars and Chef Jeff can cook something here in Kitchen. 50 seconds, 2 versus 4. But you still got that Clash to deal with. The hope is to maybe bait him past so that Chef Jeff could have got that kill. That was the one chance that they had. Couldn't quite find it. Guard break, Skeleton Key, bit of damage onto Juicy. He can fall back down bot main, 30 seconds, just get himself into a corner. Almost lost his life there. Not to be, through the floorboard, Killerman does catch Scars, and that now makes it a 1 versus 4, an almost impossible challenge for Chef Jeff, as good as he is. This should be 4-6.
15 seconds to go.
Now, I really like the Clash pick coming out from Antic in this particular round. Juicy in a position to feed so much information to the team.
5 seconds remaining.
Able to slowly stall out that push. It's making things a real challenge there for the attack, who after losing the first pick, I believe through stock hatch, it's made things a little bit more difficult. It was just never really an opportunity for Man to get back into that round, unless they were going to, overcommit that blue drop and maybe try to flood the mirror window over towards dummies. That may have been an opportunity if it worked out, but in the face of that Clash, yeah, it's really tough.
Yeah, Antic certainly won't be the kind of team to go down without a fight. Rehost called. We're going to get a bit of a temporary break here before the conclusion of this game. So 4-6 heading into this upcoming break. Every chance Antic will have more than enough capabilities, I think, to bring this back and send it to overtime. We haven't had an OT tonight. If there's ever a case for one, certainly Clubhouse defense, 2 more rounds. Not impossible to think it could be on the cards. But yeah, as I said, rehost. So therefore, upcoming break. As we go to the break, still 2 match points, 6-4 in favor for Man Esports. When we come back, we will have the conclusion of this game. Well, thanks for bearing with us, ladies and gentlemen. Back into Clubhouse here. 4-6 scoreline in favour of Man Esports LFO, looking to collect all 3 points for Antic. Unfortunately, they can no longer collect all 3 points. Of course, 1 point at minimum now for Man Esports. If it does go to overtime, they would then battle for that 2nd point. Gym Bedroom still primary site here for Antic Esports, so every world in which that they will be able to make this 5-6. So that was a close one last time we saw this particular site. Fast push for Man Esports was successful, then unsuccessful, and then ultimately successful due to a clutch from Cairo. It's the best way to summarize that particular round.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
10 seconds remaining. Ready.
Well then, let's see how this one plays out. Will it be another fast hit from Man Esports through Jacuzzi, or will they temper the pace a little bit more? I would anticipate that with Flores on the board from Scars, they fully intend to slow down the pace and use that as an effective tool in clearing utility. There'll be a decent chunk of that deployable shield from Logic, and you also have the Azami barricades as well from Frixel. Now, we've seen those employed over towards the garage rafters position, and we now see something similar this round as well. Last time, man, they were pretty content in sinking the hard breach on both sides simultaneously, if possible. This time, though, it will be a little bit more of a challenge. No impact EMPs, no Thatcher, so there will be a reliance on Cairo to deal with electrified walls on the Maverick.
Yeah, interesting considering they've tripled down on hard breach as well. Not bring the Thatcher. I think all it does is just delay this a little bit longer. Okay, we shoot that one out. This is an easy open up over towards Con single wall. I do wonder if they might look for a pinch in towards Cash and CCTV, since we did see that setup from Antic. Juicy's going to have to fall back a little bit in logistics, was holding that close. It's not as if you can just walk straight into Con though, and that is still dangerous territory, but you could get a good cross here on the balcony side. Hunter, just cutting one of those keeper barriers. Player very much anticipating some kind of jump out maybe from Jim. Minute 30, much slower approach for Man Esports in comparison to what we saw last time out here on Gym Bedroom. Double stack in towards Cash, playing off that shield facing Kennels. Logic is very much aware that there is a bit of pressure here on this Con side, both on the balcony and also on that Con single wall, which has been open. Kara makes his way in, so it's not going to hit Jacuzzi at all. Pretty sure that's still closed. Frixel with the opening kill onto Hunter. Easy one there as well, onto a sitting Frixel as he got opened up by that keeper barrier being shot out. 60 seconds left. Flash thrown. Logic, yeah, a little bit white, but able to avoid any of the damaging fire that was coming anyway and can hold this position.
Yeah, if Man Esports want to win the round, they need to try and unlock Con. Perhaps have a lurk factor up main or a Logi drop as well, just to apply pressure onto this defensive hold.
Oh,
no one on the Con window.
No one's watching this.
Oh.
Free cross for Logic.
Yeah, he'll be laughing after that.
Well, that might just be the round alone. It becomes so much more difficult. 30 seconds. Scars now at that single wall. They'll get Con clear, although Logic does lose his life. So even though he makes the miraculous cross back to sight, he still loses it. 20 seconds, not a lot of time remaining, but with the player advantage. Killer Man, though, should be number one. He looks away, never mind. How to lose a round 101. It's the timing that goes against Antic. Tuhan and Juicy, both with Nitro Cells. Not a lot of time. The plant will be the biggest deciding factor. Tuhan good onto player. Tuhan gets the Nitro Cell, doesn't get the down onto Cairo. Juicy gets the kill, need to deny the plant. It's a 1 versus 1. Juicy, easy swing, easy kill, easy does it for the Don. What is going on Gym Bedroom? It's flip-flop between these two teams.
Yeah, time the biggest factor there at the very end. Man, LFO with some fortunate timing to give them the advantage.
Close.
I can't believe the Nitro Cells weren't particularly effective there. It was the double down. I thought the one from Juicy top main was going to hit the mark. It may have been enough to displace the plant. Ultimately, though, he was able to gun down that final player left to stick in the 1 versus 1.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. After Killerman looked away from Logi Hatch, I thought it was over. I thought it's a 2-on-4. They got the numbers. They get the plant down. But no, credit to the Don, Tuhan as well. And they both are able to win that round. And you're right, the Nitro Cells really weren't the reasoning for it. I mean, to be fair, one of the Nitro Cells got Cairo off the initial plant, which then meant he had to plant later after that and couldn't unstick it. So it still had an impact. And we head to the tertiary. Cash and CCTV. Is it overtime or all 3 points for Man Esports?
So as we prefaced before as well, Cash and CCTV is the worst site here on Clubhouse for OCE defense. Trailing behind Master Gym, which we previously had, 64%. Cash CCTV, 58%. Still favorable though for defense. And you would anticipate a team of this caliber in this kind of situation. And the pressure ramps up a little bit to really stand up, step up in this moment. Last time though, on this site, Man Esports very, very aggressively, spearheaded really by Cairo through the main bridge, then top red, were able to overwhelm site really nicely, and then the 2 players Con could not rotate back with the Grim in play. So there may be a similar tactic employed. We're not going to see Capital from attack. So again, that's suggesting to me that we're likely going to see Man Esports avoid Garage, and if they do play into it, it's going to be a tougher clear without it.
Yeah, I mean, can the Grim alone help facilitate a clear? Probably. Is it easier with the Capital? Absolutely. So if you're not bringing the Capital, what are you bringing instead of that? Double hard breach. To be fair, do you really need double hard breach on Cash and CCTV? Debatable. The line's pretty good though for any kind of entry.
Special charge. Stay clear.
On single wall to get opened up pretty much for free. Same with Kennels. There is no real wall defense here from Antic. No bandit, no mute. Just a denial there with the impact as Juicy's trying to get some damage onto Cairo. This wall's going to get opened up freely. So double stack rafter side at the moment from Antic, looking to double down in this position, which is quite interesting when they don't have the Capital for Man Esports. So this could actually end up being a real strength point for Antic, especially if Man Esports go for a bit more of a Con side push. Cairo does find an opening kill onto Tuhan, opens up Con. Does have to take that Guman out, which is taking some unnecessary damage from it due to wanting to get out and drop down. Half health for Cairo. But a good start for Man Esports.
Yeah, double stack rafters. Antic can hold this for now, but if Man Esports elect to go for a plant to the connecting wall into Cash and tuck in, they can avoid that from being a big playmaking opportunity, especially with the lack of ranged plant denial. It's just the Nitro for logic. So they may open this wall and literally plant to the hard right. With a bit of pressure red, that could work. I suppose Frixel, though, is holding Lounge, so there's a bit still for the attack to unlock here. Plenty of time, though, and util to deal with it.
Well, and if they go for that cash push, I mean, those players' rafters have to eventually try and get involved, and if they do that, you got the CCTV window being held by Man Esports. So they could actually get trapped in rafters without really being able to do a whole lot to actually help deny this plant from being facilitated. This could get real ugly for Antic. Already down a player as well. Grim now using the Hive Launcher to try and clear out this position. Top red, ping, good information. Kara then gets the kill on to Killerman. Man, Esports doubling down. This is where that double stack Rafters is starting to really lose out, and it is indeed losing out. Hunt with a pistol kill onto Logic. Only 2 players left. There's that push top red. And suddenly Juicy's all by himself in Lounge in a 1v5. An incredibly well-worked attacking round for Man Esports. Ignoring Garage, ignoring Rafters. And in that position, if you're ignoring a position that Antic are doubling down on, even better. Less bodies defending Cash and Con. Eventually overwhelming said positions inside of the map. And they are on the verge of collecting all 3 points in this game. It will confine Antic to the bottom 2 or close to it, at least tied, with 2 play days to go. GG called by Cairo. Ooh. GGEs. Great rebuild. Maybe rebuild the retirement home suits you more. Well, there's the trash talking already. 7-5 victory for Man LFO. They're more than happy with that win against Antic Esports. All 3 points collected. And for Antic, unfortunately now in a position where bottom 2 is a real possibility.
Whew. Wow, what a game. And what a man leading the charge there. Center frame, Cairo gets his revenge, and what a strong attacking half it was from him, especially on that CCTV cache site 2 times back-to-back. Big, impactful player. And overall, that attacking half looked really quite convincing for the most part. They just had that clutch factor about them, had that confidence, and Antic Just couldn't match them.
Yeah, and some harsh words there. Chef Jeff basically saying you guys need to head off to the retirement home and be done with it. They've got themselves all 3 points. They got a 9 points. They are currently now tied second for the team. Still looking for an organization as we head back to the couch and see what they have to think.
Well, I have actually heard Chef just quickly message me then saying that the comments about the retirement home weren't actually for the team. It was for the casters on the desk. So moving through this one, though, just overall a really intriguing game, Mandy. I genuinely did not believe that we were going to have a close match after what I saw from, the first half of Man LFO. Granted, that last round was a little bit, how you going? They did look the goods.
Yeah, they looked really good. To be honest, between these two teams, Man LFO just looked like a better unit, honestly. I felt like the way that Antic were playing was pretty separated, whereas I felt like Man LFO always on the same page. Not just that, but they were on the same page in record time as well.
Yeah.
Like, the ideas that they had in play, they were executing, like, really quick. Like, they were super snappy as well. And I felt like it really caught Antic off guard when they just, weren't paying attention and holding the crossfires that they needed to. They really punished that.
And we'll be able to hear a little bit more once we get to the interview, Dev. But one thing that it seems to be quite a strong suit for Man LFO seems to be Hunter.
Yeah.
Hunter is not only a strong IGL, but a strong fragger as well.
I think that's can probably be said for most, if not all, of this Man LFO roster. And
Fair.
I think it comes a bit down to play style and kind of what you were saying about the team all being on the same page. They love the explosivity. We saw it from Chef Jeff, entry fragging on here, barn a shotgun onto gym bathroom, like from the bridge.
Chef
That's
things.
awesome. Cairo did it so often, and I think Cairo's entries, especially just explosively onto the bomb site in unpredictable moments and nailing a couple of quick headshots, really impactful. Hunter can be said the same, and obviously a lot of his role we don't really get to highlight on broadcast because it's much more support focused. But yeah, I think we got a really well-rounded team. I actually want to shout out Scars, believe it or not. He's the one on that roster where he's obviously the newest to the team, and he's a massive rookie. And to think that he's on essentially what is now pretty much confirmed to be a top 3 team.
Yep.
He's been holding his own. I haven't really had many highlight moments from him, but I also haven't had any moments where I can fault him. And I think that this right.
Say it.
What?
Say it. Say the line.
What's the line?
He's consistently not shit.
Yeah, okay. I was trying not to say that, but you're the one that said it, so I'll take it. Like, you expect a player who's just appeared out of nowhere, out of thin air, to be kind of shit, and he wasn't. And
No.
I'm impressed by that.
No, consistency is key in this league, and one player that's been consistent for a long time, it's his shit talking. It's Chef Jeff. Chef,
Where's
welcome.
my whiteboard? I can't write on my whiteboard. I couldn't find the marker. Hello, everyone.
How are you, my friend?
Disappointed, really. The second best team in the region. Like, what was that?
Oh, you're the third best team.
Well, no, that team. Because you guys have spent the last 3 weeks calling them the second best team,
Yeah.
and it's probably the most baseless thing I've ever heard.
Yeah. Well, I mean, now you've made a bit of a name for yourself, and the roster shuffles look like they've worked out in your favor. How do you feel like it's panning out?
Yeah, look, suffice to say that behind the scenes there is a lot of stuff that we like to change, and it's whatever. But when we get to game day, we lock in and we really do our best to play together, and I think that really shows.
Yeah, my whole question for you is, what's it been like with the new pickups as well? Like, what's the team culture like? Of course, Mammoth split in half essentially at the end of the campaign. So how's the rebuild period been like, and what do you make of your new pickups?
Yeah, well, as everyone knows, Killerman and Frixel split up the ex-Mammoth roster, and I think we were the only team to take a map off of Bliss in regulation, that being in the campaign earlier in the year. And they decided to leave for whatever that was, so we had to make our changes. So we have Gaz as probably one of the better rookies to come in. He's an insanely good player, very gifted entry, and he really follows the role well. Cairo and Player, very solid players. Cairo, the experience shows, and Player is a very reliable shot.
Yeah, just to tag on that question, what's it like versing Killerman and Frixel today?
It really shows that Judd made them. They're nothing without Hunter. It clearly shows they played awfully, and they need to really fix it up if they want to make playoffs.
Big call, man. I do want to ask you another question, though, which is just about the season as a whole for you. Obviously, you started pretty strong. Admittedly, 7-5 against Panic, man. That got me a bit scared there. Almost dropped points against the newest team in the league. 7-4 over Kelton's Knights. That looked like a big deal at the time. Now, maybe not so much since that team's failed to get a win. Then, obviously, really tough game against Bliss 7-2. And then you played Odium. And we didn't get to speak to you after that game. That, to us, was like the 3rd, 4th place match, but maybe now it's more looking like a 2nd, 3rd place match. Tell me about that game. Tell me about what you learned from it and what you're going to do to make sure you actually can steal 2nd place back from them.
Just rolling back, Panic, first game, a lot of jitters, a lot of figuring out what we are as a team on game days. The Kelton's game, we got our quota of 2 rounds of attacks on that. And then we steamrolled the defense half, standard. The Bliss game, expected. We learnt a lot. And the Odium game, I think we didn't follow our game plan, and the tech pauses really. We just we really focused on ourselves, and we brought it back this week.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's certainly a statement to make for the rest of the league now. Only two more play days to go before we get into those BO3s. We'll probably talk to you more about the BO3s when push comes to shove. But as per usual, mate, you've got the floor. Anything you'd like to say?
Look, shout out to the Panic Esports roster. Nothing prepares us for a game against Antic Esports like Karma dropping 20 against us in scrims every map. That guy is insane. And yeah, shout out to the boys. Let's go.
Nice and easy, mate. Short and sweet. Thank you very much for joining us. Best of luck for the rest of the campaign.
Thank you so much.
Campaign? I thought the campaign's over.
Yeah, I think it is. I think I might have thrown that one under the bus a little bit. Obviously, their campaign now looks a lot better, Dev.
Yeah, I'm very impressed by Man Esports. Obviously, after the campaign, funnily enough, they were looking like the 2nd best team in the region.
Absolutely.
That Osiris roster was meant to be the 2nd best, then they disbanded. Now they've come back and obviously not looking in hot form. Hey, Antic not even getting a single point out of this game, which is a huge red flag for, as I think it's fair enough. Firstly, I think it's fair enough that we were touting them as the 2nd best team in the region because they were last year for the whole year. And no one really could question that. And I also think it's fair enough that Chef has called us out for it because now it is pretty clear that this is not the 2nd best team in the region, probably not even the 3rd best team in the region. They now actually have a negative win rate, losing to Bliss, 6 targets, and now Man Esports. And big revenge game for the old Cairo as well. Of course, he was on Odium last year, but there was that infamous match that went the distance, and this guy right here lost his 1v1 in the final round to the big log dog, and I'm sure he will be ecstatic to get one up over his former teammate.
Well, lightning doesn't strike twice. That's all I can say. But we've left the best until last. Bliss, they take on Odium, and it's coming up after this short break.
Ay, ay, ay.